Hey guys, and welcome back to The Guy. So I thought I'd do a quick Elite Dangerous video on outfitting your ship because there are tons and tons of questions when it comes to outfitting your ship. A lot of people really have no idea, and there's not a lot of tutorials out there or anything that teaches you what in the hell's going on. Now I'm on my way to DSO here, and there's something going on there, so I have a video on that shortly, but I thought on the way to DSO I would help you guys out. So let's look at my Cobra as an example. And this is really important when you look at the ship, any ship you've got in here, regardless, you know you're looking at this Cobra, but let's pretend you got another ship. It doesn't matter. You'll have a certain amount of areas for hard points on the outside of the ship, so it splits it into hard points and your internal. So those are your two classifications in that regards. Okay, so you got everything on the outside of the ship, you got everything on the inside of the ship. Now on the outside of the ship, you know, there'll be various spots depending upon the ship. The Cobra right now has 6 spots that you can see, and you will see 2 letters or 2 areas here that confuse a lot of people. You see a letter and you'll see a number. Okay, now the letter itself refers to what is called rating.
Well, with any luck, you'll
pardon my AI. I've got I've got a AI on right now that's helping me out with like trading opportunities, and then I'm gonna pirate. But anyway, back to the point at hand. the letter is called the rating. Okay, let's get on point here. Let's get back on point. And the ratings go, I believe, from G being the lowest and A being the highest. Now, there's a lot of debate and banter on websites whether rating really even means anything, and I think it does. There's been testing in weaponry, especially where they've got a rating item, like for this multi-cannon, for instance, that's a G, and then they put an A on, and they haven't seen any much more damage output. How they're measuring it, I don't know, but I've seen a couple posts where people say there's really no difference. But I think there probably is a difference, because I have combed through Frontier's forum, which is not that great, and I've seen posts made by Frontier that show that in fact rating is important. Now, in what regards, because of this testing that shows the negation of it being important, I think maybe they're able to take more damage, that they're higher quality. The rating gives it a higher quality, and therefore it can take more damage and have more longevity. Okay, so try and get yourself A. A is the highest rating. Okay, and then you have another number here. So the letter is the rating, and the number is the class. Now class is size. Okay, now if I were to take a multi-cannon, for instance, okay, and I were to just go down here and look for one that was a class 1, it's sizably smaller. Okay, I'm not going to do it, but if I were to buy this $9,500 ones, it's still got the rating the same, which really doesn't matter. I'd rather have a better rating. But the class size does affect damage output. Okay, that's because the larger the size, the more damage you're putting out. Okay, so I don't want to, if especially for weapons, it really depends upon how you want to specialize or outfit your ship, but I really don't want to put a class 1 size weapon, which is half the size of this and probably does half the damage, here, unless I'm trying to reduce mass, or I've got an issue with weight of the ship and maybe I want to tone it down and do some type of trading. You want to keep the same classes pretty much. Okay, so there's class 1 through 4, I believe. There might be one more higher than that, or a couple higher than that, depending upon size of ship, but class 2 are your large size. See, now look at these beam lasers under here. You see how much smaller they are? That's because it's a class 1 sized weapon. Okay, I can't put anything that is a class 2 on here. It won't even give me the options to put a class 2 on here, which makes sense. Now, you know, if I'm going back to the class 2 size, it is going to give me class 1, so it is kind of confusing. My AI is talking again, apologies. And I'm just too damn lazy to turn it off, but I hope you're learning something. Okay, now here's another important thing. Okay, here's your internals. Now internals is really where it gets difficult, because The ratings, I think, are super important. I think the ratings here are very important. The quality of the rating is very important, and the class is very important too, because you're talking about on this. I've got this kind of set up to be a whale and carrying a lot of items. But you can play with class on this a lot, which is your sizing. Okay, so for instance, if I take this out, it gives me 4+ class points, and I can kind of move them around and shift them and put larger or smaller things in the internals. So there's kind of a wide array of things that you can do with the internals of the ship. But what I will tell most people who are beginning is to just stick with, and see, here's 8. Yeah, that's class 8. So obviously there is something bigger than these other classes, and that makes sense because we're talking about the armor on here and the bulkheads, which is the majority of the ship. So that makes sense that that is an 8. I haven't really seen much more than that. There might be, but so that's pretty basically it, guys. For miners, one more thing to go over. Okay, when you are mining and you want to get yourself a refinery, okay, let's look to see if I can find a refinery at this station for you guys. Of course, there probably is not going to be one. Let's see, refinery. Come on, okay, great. Here's a refinery. All right, guys. When it comes to refineries, your class size here is small. We would want larger. It's telling us that we're going smaller than the current slot that we have here, which is a 4. So we would want to keep it a 4. You know, we would want to find a class 4 if possible. But the refinery bins, okay, now the refinery bins has to do with the amount of space that this can hold the ore. Okay, so refinery bin has to do with the cargo space for ore specifically. Ore does not go into your cargo bins, okay? Or what I want to say, cargo racks. Ore does not go into the cargo racks, so it's very confusing. What happens is ore goes into your refinery. Let's find a let's see, class descending. Let's see. Oh, there's a nice one. I wish I had the money for that. Okay, now you'll notice here's a class 4. This would flip my slot. I don't have the money for it currently, but this is perfect. Class 4, rating A. Shows your power draw, blah, 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 blah. Refinery bins, 10. Okay, so that's going to be able to hold quite a lot of ore. And as you collect the ore, the refinery bins will actually, in the refinery bins, as you collect the rock, what happens is there is a process that goes on that you click in your UI user interface panel, and it takes that ore and it refines it into ore, or into minerals, from ore to minerals, and then the minerals, I believe, go into the cargo hold. Not too sure, it's been a long time, but I will do a mining video once drones are released. But I hope that helps you guys on the ratings and the class. And I personally would say go for everything with the higher letter as far as B, A. It's just like your grades at school, man. You want to get A's. And class, you want to stick to the same class unless it's the internals, and then you're fooling around with weight or stuff like that. So hopefully this video was helpful to you guys. And I'm on my way to DSO now. Thank you for watching the games. And share this video for others, because there's really not a lot out there that really explains it like this. And I'm glad I can do that for you guys. Alright, it's Al signing out here. Fly safe, Commanders.